What's going on, everybody? I've got an update for you for Sphere 3D. Now, as you may know, I don't currently own this stock, but I'm keeping an eye on it because there is some potential there, but there is definitely a lot of risk still. And for me, it's a little too much risk to reward, but let me know how you feel about it down below in the comments. But we're going to look at their mining update, and we're also going to look at some Gryphon news. We're going to check out the chart on Sphere 3D, and I'm gonna let you know my concerns with it and also my outlook. So if you're new here, consider hitting the like, subscribe, ring the notification bell. Definitely appreciate your support. Check out the links down below for some free stocks and cryptos. Check out my YouTube membership, it's only $2 a month. And let's take a look at Sphere 3D. So first off, let's look at their Bitcoin mining update. Things are looking a little better, but there's also some negatives in here in my opinion. Now this is their update for January, so keep that in mind. But they grew production by 111% month over month to 37.84 Bitcoin per month, and they achieved 108.9 Bitcoin to exahash efficiency. Now some comments from the CEO. January was another pivotal month for Sphere 3D, with the receipt of approximately 11,000 miners and a long-awaited boost in the price of Bitcoin. Once fully deployed and hashing, Sphere 3D's fleet will total approximately 15,000 units with a production capacity of over 1.6 exahash. Continuing on, we have started the new year with momentum. We have several thousand miners which are ready to be deployed pending the finalization of definitive hosting agreements. In January, we saw the price of Bitcoin rise and sustain prices over 20,000. We have taken advantage of this market upswing and have liquidated the majority of our previously mined Bitcoin holdings. Last year was challenging for the industry. However, we believe that the market will start to stabilize in the first quarter. Actions speak louder than words. They believe the market is going to stabilize, however, they sold a majority of their Bitcoin. Keep that in mind. That's kind of something to think about. Our team is working diligently to ensure all miners are deployed and hashing by the end of the first quarter. So all 15,000 miners. Now, Compute North update. In January 2023, all 3,336 miners at the Wolf Hollow site were energized, and we expect that they will continue hashing. We continue to work with Compute North for the return of our deposit through the Chapter 11 process. So they're working to get their deposit back. They'll probably end up getting a small fraction of it, but they will likely get something with this bankruptcy for Compute North. Now, as for another delivery update, in January, approximately 11,850 S19J Pros landed and cleared customs in accordance with the amended terms of the company's contract with the vendor. We expect deployment to hosting partners pending the execution of definitive agreements in the coming weeks. Now, as for Compute North, they're still working on getting money back from that. So they have a lot of money tied up in these other companies' bankruptcies, which isn't a good sign. They're likely to get a very small fraction of it, if anything. And bankruptcies have definitely shook the Bitcoin industry. I would argue that we have seen the bottom already, and we aren't going to see as many of these bankruptcies pulling down the market. I think that point where Bitcoin was just at its lows and all these bankruptcies were being announced, you know, that was max pain. I could be wrong, but that's just where I'm coming from. God, excuse my voice. So Bitcoin production holdings update in 2023 of January, Sphere 3D produced 37.84 Bitcoin, as I said, or 1.26 per day. Daily production volume increased 118% compared to December of 2022. During January, the company hosted a hybrid strategy of liquidating during Bitcoin price upswings and holding for the remainder of its holdings. The company used approximately 121.65 Bitcoin during the month to fund working capital, custom fees, duties, insurance, and shipping related to the delivery of those 11,850 S19J Pros. So you could look at this two ways. You could see it as a positive that they are, making use of Bitcoin's upswing. But if you believe that Bitcoin will be much higher, as the months progress, it's not necessarily a good thing to see how they've just sold so much. So if Bitcoin swings very high in price, it won't necessarily benefit this company in a major way as it'll benefit companies that hold a lot of Bitcoin. While yes, of course, Bitcoin's price rising will help out Sphere 3D and help out their stock price, I personally think the rate of gain will be a little less, just being that they don't have a huge Bitcoin balance on their balance sheet. And as Bitcoin rises up in price, yes, their Bitcoin mined moving forwards, you can see that as a positive, and the stock price will likely raise as Bitcoin raises, but what they hold on their balance sheet and their actual value as a company isn't going to raise all that much, being that they sold so much of their Bitcoin. Yes, of course, it's going to raise a little bit, but they have a very small fraction of what they currently had. They have $0.4 million in Bitcoin. So they have $400,000 worth of Bitcoin. Not all that impressive to me. But, the thing here with Sphere 3D is its growth trajectory. We have been seeing growth in Bitcoin mining, and hopefully that may continue. There's definitely a lot of fears in this one, and I'm going to go over that in a second. But I did want to show you guys just their Bitcoin production and holding chart. You'll see that ever since January of 2022, they have been, dramatically gaining on Bitcoin holdings, but they just sold off a huge majority, as you can see here. One thing you'll also notice is their Bitcoin production. So it has been in a general upward trajectory, and from December to January, they did see some of the most growth here. It is good to see that they are growing their exahash for Bitcoin, and of course they have more machines coming, so we should expect to continue to see that. And let's go with the CEO's closing remarks. Then I'm going to go over Sphere 3D's share price and also some potential worries and fears, and then something that's going on actually with Gryphon Digital. We continue to deploy the additional miners, which will significantly increase our production capacity. We are in a strong position to grow in this quarter. We continue to execute on our operations while evaluating new accretive opportunities to drive growth in 2023. Now, I did want to pull up the chart for Sphere 3D and show you that, we're still in a downtrend. We are starting to curl. I want to see the 50 flip the 100 EMA. It could find resistance there as we push a little bit higher and start curling back down. There are definitely some headwinds for this company. They have been notified for the second time now of delisting, potentially delisting on the NASDAQ, if they can't regain their compliance, meaning getting back over $1 on the share price. And right now, this is roughly a double up from here to get there. Now, as I've said before, I'm personally waiting for this one as it gets closer to $1 to then, reassess and see if I actually want to get in this one or not. But as it stands here, I'm just holding tight. I'm waiting. To me, there's too much risk to reward for this one. And, while those of you that got in at 20 something cents, maybe those of you that get in right here could see a double up, could see a 4x from, 20 cent standpoint. There's still a lot of risk here because as they approach closer and closer to, I believe it's the summer of 2023, they're very likely to reverse split. Reverse splits aren't seen as good because obviously companies are reverse splitting because of NASDAQ compliance issues, meaning the share price has dropped, performance problems. So, you can look at it in multiple ways. If you have high conviction in this one and you're willing to take the risk, have at it. But me personally, I'd rather wait until it's much closer to $1. And, maybe in the coming months, maybe towards spring, maybe early summer before that delisting potential, might be a good time to swing into this one, get it at 90 something cents, pop it up over $1. But I really want to see the momentum on this shift. We are still not in a bullish direction yet. I want to see the EMA start to flip and, maintain themselves. But, we are seeing a step in the right direction. Their Bitcoin production is increasing, which is nice to see. However, they have been selling their Bitcoin. Clearly, they are trying to just fund their growth. And now that they only have $400,000 in Bitcoin, there's not a whole lot they can do there. But let me know what you think about Sphere 3D. Is it too risky for you at this price? Am I stupid for not buying now, being that there could be just so much gains from here moving forwards? Or do you think it's a good idea to wait until it's closer to $1 just to mitigate that risk, just for good risk management? Because as we approach the NASDAQ delisting, as we get closer to there, who's going to want to buy this knowing that they're going to have to reverse split, knowing that, if they don't reverse split, they are going to get delisted? I don't think they're actually going to get delisted. I think they're obviously going to reverse split before anything like that happens. But, that is seen as a negative. It's not seen as a positive to have to reverse split. A regular split is seen as positive because the share price has been rising so much. And I'll leave this down below for you so you can see it yourself. But January 24 of 2023, so pretty recently, they did receive an additional 180-day grace period, giving them until July 24 of 2023 to regain compliance, get back over $1. I can definitely see it happening. And while yes, I could make much better gains getting in now, waiting for it to run up, to me, the risk is a little too high. And of course, I have very many risky small caps. But maybe if you don't have as many small caps as me, it's worth the risk. Now, I did want to quickly mention to you guys, because this kind of pertains to Sphere 3D, or at least it used to, not anymore necessarily. But, Sphere 3D and Gryphon were going to have a merger. Then they had to terminate that agreement. And things just didn't work out there. And ever since Sphere 3D has been falling quite hard. Now, Bitcoin miner Gryphon to go public via all-stock merger with akerna. And I'll leave this down below for you, but it's kind of interesting that they are planning to do this merger. Rob Chang is still part of Gryphon. As you may know, he was in Riot Blockchain, and he is a pretty experienced CEO, so I'm going to keep an eye on this company, this akerna, and I'll share with you the stock price for this one too. It is literally trying to hold $1. One thing you'll see is it's still bearish. It isn't flipping the EMAs yet. Maybe this is the beginning of an accumulation phase. I would be very cautious. And on this news, this Gryphon news, it just started popping, but it did pretty much pull that back. So we'll see where that goes here. I think it is worth keeping an eye on. But one thing you'll notice is their revenue is pretty flat. we're not really seeing much revenue growth. I mean, when you look like more like a year over year, they are seeing some growth. But let me know, guys, what you think about Sphere 3D. Is it a high conviction stock for you? Are you just speculating on it? Do you have a stop loss in place just in case things turn back down? Is it a long-term stock for you? For me personally, I just see better opportunity with something like CleanSpark or, you know, a lot of the other miners. There's definitely high risk to this one, but I will likely get in this as we, you know, get closer to $1, as Bitcoin starts rising in price. Of course, I won't see as much percentage gains, but that will take a lot of risk off the table by being closer to $1. That to me is my strategy for Sphere 3D. But let me know your strategy down below, guys. Thanks as always for watching, and I'll see you a little bit later today.